Watching News at Prime, let's get into this conversation. Now, the Special Investigating Unit is expected to provide an update and release its interim report into the investigations at the Tembisa Hospital. The briefing will be led by the SIU head, Advocate Endi Mutibi. This is tomorrow. He'll also be joined by the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. That includes the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi and the Gauteng MEC for Health, Nomantu Nkomo Ralehoku. The briefing marks a significant milestone in the SIU's probe, offering the public and indeed the stakeholders a formula, or should we say a formal update on the investigation's progress and preliminary findings. The SIU saying the release of the interim report underscores the commitment to transparency and accountability in this matter. All right, let's talk now to News 24 senior investigative journalist Jeff Wicks, who talks to us via the virtual platform. Jeff, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. You've certainly done a lot of work in this regard. Before we delve into some of the finer details, let's talk about the SIU and whether members of the public can trust what they come up with. I'm merely trying to suggest to you that is the SIU, does it enjoy the confidence of members of the public based on their previous investigations?
Hi, Xoli. Thank you for having me. I think to a large degree, yes. We've, if you consider the sort of lifespan of the SIU and how frequently they've been wielded by presidents of this country, because they can only act by presidential proclamation, they have been extremely busy in the last 3 years with proclamation, sometimes as often as every week consecutively. Now, what's important about this report is this has been in the works for now 3 years, and it's going to be very interesting to see the scale and the depth of the rot at Tembisa Hospital, because we know that things have moved on from the first shades of this network that were exposed by Babita Deokaran.
I mentioned earlier, as I was promoting our discussion, that there has been a lot of corruption at the Tembisa Hospital. You have picked apart this story since the death of whistleblower Babita Deokaran, who was the chief accountant in the health department here in Gauteng. Tell us what you have uncovered, almost in bullet point form.
Well, certainly. We've been running an investigation into Tembisa Hospital for nearly 4 years. And what we found in the wake of Babita Deokaran's death was that there were syndicates which had taken root at that facility. Now, in her final report, which she filed 19 days before she was assassinated, she flagged 850 million rands worth of payments. Our investigations have set out that figure is now closer to 2.3 billion rand of cash that was extracted from Tembisa Hospital in the space of just 2 years. And we understand that these syndicates are high-tech, they're well thought out, and they operate in an orchestrated manner which essentially purchases the entire value chain in terms of how procurement is managed at that facility. And I think you are absolutely correct. We must cease to be polite about it. Corruption has overwhelmed Tembisa Hospital. That is patently clear from what we've found. And now it's time for us to listen to the SIU and other arms of the state as to what they plan to do about this and who exactly is in their crosshairs.
Earlier this month, Jeff, the Asset Forfeiture Unit, this is a unit that works in tandem with the National Prosecuting Authority. They seized luxury homes, vehicles. Who do these belong to, and what is their relationship to the Tembisa contract?
So that seizure that you're talking about, that was Hangwani Morgan Maumela. He is been referred to as the Don of Tembisa, and certainly he had a massive stake in procurement out of that hospital. We've tracked approximately 465 million rands worth of payments in the space of 2 years, which went to 12 companies linked to him, 12 or 14 companies. And essentially what was seized, all of the supercars and the mansions across the country, were the spoils of cash, which were meant to provide goods and services and sort of cater to the medical needs of the millions of people who have to go to Tembisa Hospital for medical care. Now, the AFU has been working also in conjunction with the SIU, so we expect similarities in what the SIU will tell us tomorrow beyond what they've spoken about Mr. Maumela. But he's just one syndicate head. There are many. And I think that really tells us the story of the depth and depravity of the extraction at Tembisa Hospital, that multiple syndicates were able to take root at that facility and did very well for themselves.
You have really delved deep, Jeff, into this story. And in no small part, or should I say in no small measure, all of what you have done, can it also be attributed to the memory of Babita Deokaran, the person that she gave this information to, but quietly, because she clearly knew that she had to handle this matter with utmost sensitivity. That person whom she gave the information to, who is that person, and what could have been their role in seeing the end of Babita Deokaran, sadly? I'm asking this open-ended because this person, I don't believe that they have been charged with anything, and therefore we need to be careful around the names that we speak about here because we might get sued. So I'm merely asking this so carefully so that you are able to also straddle that line if you can.
Gladly, sir. Yeah, I think what we set out to do when we took on this project was to try and finish what Babita Deokaran started. And I think every story we've published and every revelation that's come to the fore is a testament to her uprightness and her fortitude as a good civil servant. And in essence, we have her to thank for this investigation. And it was her sacrifice that has enabled the unraveling of these syndicates. Now, when she filed her report about dubious spending at Tembisa Hospital, she sent that to her boss, the CFO at the health department at the time. Now, she was suspended, and despite the health department coming with big talk about how there would be accountability, they could not conclude that disciplinary action in the space of 2 years. And she was allowed to resign with no censure or sanction. She's never been questioned by the police. She's faced no criminal charges for anything in respect of Tembisa Hospital. And she had a significant role to play because she was the one who lied to Babita and said that she'd been protected and said that there would be an urgent forensic investigation. In fact, the report that Babita submitted was buried, suppressed, and covered up until the point we managed to get our hands on her laptop, found that report, and then thrust it into the public domain.
I ask this question, Jeff, because tomorrow, one of the officials that have been mentioned in this news alert, or should we say press conference alert, is that the officials of the SIU will be joined not only by the Minister of Health, but also the Gauteng Premier. The Gauteng Premier is someone who also does not shy away from speaking publicly. And as you say, they had committed. This is a government under Panyaza Lesufi. If indeed tomorrow he speaks against corruption, should the public believe him based on what you have just said about this person that Babita Deokaran had given information to, who has since been allowed to resign?
I agree with you that he often likes to talk publicly when it suits him. When it doesn't suit him is in this instance when it's a glaring indictment on not only his leadership, but the leadership of his cabinet, because this is a follow-on from a different executive that was in charge when Babita Deokaran was assassinated. But I really did wonder where Panyaza Lesufi was on the 4th anniversary of Babita Deokaran's death. And similarly for the health MEC, who was also a complete no-show at the memorial event. And can we really say that we care about the Deokaran family and Babita Deokaran and all the corruption that's going on at our state facilities if we can't even show up to events like that? So I think that speaks volumes. So I think anything that the Premier has to say should be taken with a healthy dose of salt and should be backed up by evidence. But luckily, all he'll be there for is to just basically take charge of a stack of paper from the SIU, and then we'll see exactly what they've found at that facility and the investigation, which is now dragged on for 3 years.
Finally, you speak about the anniversary of the death of Babita Deokaran, That anniversary was last month. She was killed in August of 2021. Her family talked to us about what they think 4 years on.
I think that the Deokaran family has been betrayed by the state and they've been denied justice. Not only were there serious missteps in the murder investigation into Babita's killing, but let's look at how much accountability there's been in the Gauteng Health Department in the past 4 years. Not one single person arrested for corruption at Tembisa Hospital. Not one single executive manager in the Gauteng Health Department disciplined. They only tried to discipline 2. One was allowed to resign and the other died before they could conclude. We've seen nothing much in terms of results. So now what does that tell us about accountability 4 years on? I think it's incredibly lacking, and I think this is a patent affront to Babita Deokaran's memory, and it besmirches her.
Jeff Wicks, thank you very much for your time. Investigative journalist with News 24. Speaking truth to power, if you will. Thank you, Jeff, for your time.